there are two high yield ETFs that I am starting to focus on, as I would like to build these two ETFs up as long as they do show some positive movement on the long-term charts and pay out a monthly distribution. And those two ETFs are JEPQ and DIVO. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So if you've watched a previous video, you saw where I did get into a new high yield ETF, and that one is DIVO, and that's what we're looking at right now. And normally I do not buy unless it would be under my real price per share, right? But for DIVO and JEPQ, the charts show a little bit of a different story. So I kind of wanted to go over that and explain why I think these two are different, and I will play them differently than I am for like the YMAX ETFs like ULTY, SMCY, WDTE, CONY, and such. But before we jump into that, if you don't mind, hit that like button, as it would be much appreciated. So first of all, let's take a look at the overall picture of the first one we've got pulled up here, which is DIVO. And if we're looking at this 1 year chart right here, you can see that those candles like to stay above that 200 MA, which is one of the indicators that I'm looking for when I'm looking to invest into a stock, especially if I'm looking to invest into it long term. And the second indicator would be that 5 year chart. And you can see on DIVO, those candles are just moving up and to the right. That MA200 is moving up and to the right. So therefore, if it does have a pullback, history shows that it does want to move back up. And that's always something that I look for when I want to get into something long term. And DIVO does meet both those criteria. And of course, if we zoom in here on DIVO and we turn off the moving averages and I turn on that Bollinger Band, you can see we did break below that midpoint on that Bollinger Band, but we did move it back up and we are tapping that midpoint of the Bollinger Band. I do have a buy order for DIVO. I've got it setting at about 44.35. And of course, I didn't set it until after it had dropped today, as it did drop as low as 44.32. And I was kind of hoping it was going to come back down there and pick me up, but it did not. It just took back off and ended up closing today at 44.70. But that's okay. I'll be patient. We may have another little pullback to be able to pick up some more shares at that 44.35. Because as you can see, I do currently have a position of 12 shares at 45.30. So by getting shares at that 44.35, that will help lower that average, but I'm not really too concerned with the average on DIVO just because of the chart that I just showed you of that 1 year and 5 year chart where it is moving up and to the right. So that means to me that over time, this one here will continue to move up and still pay out a dividend. And as you can see, it was 21 cents and this last one was 95 cents. But on average, it's around about 19 cents or so, as it was 17 here, 18, and then 21. And then we had the special here of 95. Now that does not mean that it's going to be 95 cents from here out. That's for sure. I think after this distribution come next dividend, it'll probably drop back down to around that 20 some cents or a little bit lower, right? But that's still a pretty steady dividend. And the fact that the price keeps moving up, it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? You are earning that distribution or dividend and the price is moving up. So you get that price appreciation along with the dividend. And it just sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Now, of course, if we do get another little pullback, since we are still on that bottom half of that Bollinger Band, that could be a potential buy spot for me. And that's the reason I do have my buy order right around this 44.35, even though the bottom of that Bollinger Band is around 44.14 and that midpoint being 44.71. That 44.35 is somewhat in the middle. So that's the reason I went ahead and put that order out there. And of course, if it did come down to this, chances are that RSI2 could very possibly be below that 10 as well, which is another indicator that I do look at when I'm looking to buy. But like I said, for DIVO, I am playing this one a little bit different, but I still like to buy on those little pullbacks. So when we have those little pullbacks and it's on the bottom half of that Bollinger Band, that could be a good time to jump in my opinion. And of course, that is not financial advice. Make sure you do your own research and make your own decisions of what stocks or ETFs you want to get into. But as you can see, I do have a buy order for 44.35, and this one will probably end up canceling out because it's only for the day. I will reevaluate come Monday, and if the price is down low, I'll put a buy price in for that. But if not, then I may just go ahead and keep that right around that 44 area, as that to me would be a good buy price. And the second one that I wanted to take a look at and talk about would be JEPQ. Now for JEPQ here, we can take a look at that 1 year chart right here, and let's turn on that moving average, turn off the Bollinger Band, and you can see there's that 200-day moving average. It did drop here, but like I've said many times, that was an event in 2025 and the majority of the market dropped, right? SPY along with many other stocks and ETFs. So for this area here, I'm willing to look past that. So for me, I'm good with this chart on the 1 year, and then we look at the 5 year, and there's the 5 year. Now notice there is no red line on the 5 year. And since JEPQ has not been out for 5 years, as it looks like it opened around May of 2022. So it has not been around for 5 years, but that chart is still showing that it wants to move up and to the right. So I'll take that. And that's why I don't mind purchasing more shares of JEPQ or DIVO, even if it does mean that I'll be raising my average. Because if it's going to continue moving up, then even though this spot here at that time was the high, it is no longer the high, right? There is then a new high and then a new high, right? So if it's going to continue making new highs, even though there are dips, right? If it's going to continue doing that, then I don't mind buying, even though it would average me up. So therefore, I'm not playing JEPQ or DIVO the same way that I do YMAX ETFs, Defiance funds, or Round Hill funds. I'm treating these two very differently, almost like a buy and hold stock that's going to pay me out a distribution. And as you can see, JEPQ is paying out around 57, 55, 47, 44. So this one here is actually increasing in that dividends. So that's a nice little dividend for JEPQ. And I did end up just buying another 8 shares of JEPQ. I had 47 shares, and as you can see, I now have 55. And right here is my order to prove that I did buy those, and I actually bought them after the close of the market. So this is in after hours, and I did purchase 8 shares at $58.13. And as you can see, that order was filled. So I do not mind owning the shares of JEPQ or DIVO. And I have toyed around the idea of possibly seeing if I can sell puts on either of these. So let's just take a look at the option chain here for JEPQ, and let's just see what's available. Looks like the expiration dates are monthly. And if we select January the 16th right here as the first one, doesn't pay out a whole lot of premium here, but I guess you could do about a 57 put and get roughly about 25 bucks for that. So not really anything to write home about, but if you're looking to buy shares, and if you wouldn't mind owning 100 shares at that $57, and knowing that JEPQ wants to move up and to the right, that may not be a bad idea, even owning them at that $57. And the same thing goes for DIVO. If we look at the options chain here for that same January the 16th, as it too is monthly, it does not look like you're going to be able to do very well on the options for DIVO either. Your strike price would have to be pretty close to the actual price in order to even make anything off of it. But of course, we could go out a month and let's see if there's any difference there. And honestly, the spread here is just really far apart. You might get lucky and be able to get a little bit more out of this one. But honestly, that spread is so far apart, you probably won't be able to even sell a put on DIVO and make much off of it. Even though it says the mid is about $1.25, the last was 25 cents. Okay, so still, if you're looking to own some shares of it, and at $43.41, that's a little over $1 less than the actual price is now, and you can still pick up an extra 25 bucks for doing it. Why not sell a put at this price, earn 25 bucks, and be able to purchase those shares at a lower price than what it currently is today, if it does move down to that $43.41. So it's just something to think about. And I may look into seeing if I can't just sell a put on both of these, because I would like to get some more shares of JEPQ and DIVO. And if it did drop back, that might be a good buying opportunity for me. But of course, on JEPQ, like I said, I did purchase 8 more shares. And the reason I went ahead and made that purchase is if we turn on the Bollinger Band right here, you can see that we did dip below that midpoint. And I'd prefer it to be a little lower in that Bollinger Band. But that RSI2 down here is sitting at 6.28. So I went ahead and picked up 8 shares at that 58.13. But if it does move on down to the bottom half of this Bollinger Band, then I can look to pick up some more shares, because I would like to get a few more of JEPQ and DIVO, because I do like the fact that these do move up and to the right and still pay out a distribution or dividend. And of course, those purchases that I did make, I will be updating my spreadsheet right here, and I will be able to add a brand new one, and that will be that DIVO right here. That will be a new entry for me, and I'll be able to add those additional 8 shares for JEPQ, along with updating the others for the distributions that I did earn this week. So I'll do that this weekend, and we'll take a look to see where my current real price per share lies. As you can see, out of the 14, I still only have 4 of them that are down. The rest of them currently are green, meaning that if I were to sell all my shares of that particular ETF, I would make money. So if you would like a copy of my spreadsheet, come on over, join the Discord, where you can get a copy of my spreadsheet, and you'll also get notifications when I do make trades, whether I'm purchasing more of these high yield ETFs, JEPQ, DIVO, CONY, ULTY, or whatever. I'll send that out to my Discord members so that they know what I'm doing, not necessarily so that they can follow me, but just to keep everybody informed what my thoughts are and what I'm doing in my portfolio. So you'll get access to those notifications, and you'll be able to get access to my spreadsheet. And I have been working to update this spreadsheet. As you can see, I currently have a Rev 4.1 in process. So some of the changes that will be made is I am going to add a few more available slots for other high yield ETFs that you may have. Currently at the REV4, it has availability up to 20, and I'm going to be adding up to 30, as that was one of the requests that I have had from one of my Discord members. And another one will be adding a tab here for your closed positions. So this way, it can keep track of how much you've made or lost in your closed position, and that total here will then be added in to the gain and loss number, as you can see right here. So this number here will not only tell you what you'll make if you were to sell out of all of your ETFs here, so basically what it's worth plus whatever distributions you've made, but it'll also add in all of your closed positions as well, if those were at a loss or gain. And it'll still have the real price per share calculator right here, as that is just a neat little way where you can pick one of the ETFs that you do have, enter in a particular buy price and how many shares you would think you would like to have. It'll give you how much that will cost, and it'll also tell you, if you did make that purchase, what that new real price per share would be. For this example, you can see I've got CONY at a $40 buy price. If I purchase 12 shares, it'll cost me $480, but it will lower my real price per share from that $51.09 down to $49.73. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of peek into the future, and that way you can see, is it worth that? Or what if I wanted to purchase 25 shares? What would that new real price per share be? Instead of $49.73, it would take it down to $48.59, right? So it's just a neat little calculator that is dynamic, so that whichever one you do select, whether it's CONY, YMAX, SMCY, or any of the other ones that you have, right? It will pull in the ones that you fill in. These are just showing the ones that I have. But when you enter in your own, it will show those, and those will show up in the drop-down menu for you to select from. So it's a quick little glimpse to see if you did purchase at a certain price for a certain number of shares, what that new real price per share would be. And you can play around with those two numbers right there to find out what that new real price per share will be, and also what percentage of a drop that does give you. In this case, buying 25 shares at 40 bucks drops at 4.89%. So almost 5% drop if I were to buy 25 shares at 40 bucks. So that way I can take that and use that information to help make that decision if that's what I want to do or not. So come on over, join the Discord. We'd love to have you over there. Get your stock tracker sheet here, fill in your own ETFs, find out what your real price per share is so that you can know if your position is actually as bad off as you think. It may be, but maybe it's not. But you won't know unless you calculate for that real price per share. So click that link down in the description or in the pinned comments below to join our Discord, calculate your real price per share, and find out where your position of that ETF actually stands. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. It would be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.